Don't invest in today's stock market. Invest in tomorrow's stock market. That's my paraphrase of Stan Druckenmiller's famous quote, "Never ever invest in the present." That is to say, the world changes. The world is driven by events, and you need to identify those events. Fortunes are made by investing in the stocks that are going to change the world you live in, not the stocks that change the world that you currently live in. It is important to look forward as to what's going to change the world and who's going to do it and who are the people and what are the companies, because I have a long-term horizon. That's how do you make a fortune. That's how you build a FIRE portfolio. Let's look at the specific stocks.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
In order to understand the future, you got to take a look at the past. And I would ask you, what's changed our world in the last 40 years? I think it's evident. The digital revolution, followed by globalization, followed by China. You put those three things together and you have what changed our world and why we are where we are. Why the companies that dominate the world right now all came from the digital revolution, globalization, and the rise of China. So with that in mind, if we understand that's the past, what's the future going to look like? I think that's evident too, particularly if you read and study. It's artificial intelligence, it's machine learning, it's quantum computing, and it's the deglobalization of the world. Those four things will set the pace and set the direction of what's going to happen next. Once you know that those four things are going to take over, then you know where to put your money. Let's dig a little deeper. As Stan said, never, never, ever invest in the present. Invest in the future. What I want to talk about is a FIRE portfolio. A FIRE portfolio is an acronym that young people have created to mean financial independence and retire early. This is their objective. And I want to help you build a portfolio that will do just that, built around the past as well as in the future, built around the people who have recognized the change and then have built companies to make it change. Who are those that we all know? Well, they are Apple, Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA, and Amazon. These are the people who built these companies, plus Mark Zuckerberg. You have to put him in there, but he's, at this point, reinventing his company. Let's leave him on the sidelines for a while. But these are the companies that have built a moat around themselves by, over the past 40 years, gathering your data of everywhere you've been, everywhere you wish you had gone, everything you've eaten, where you go to the restaurant, how you use your automobile, how you fly, where you vacation. They have learned everything about you. Now they're gathering the information on your health care, and that will help your medical situation make better decisions. All this has to come together. So I look at these companies, these Apple, Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA, and Amazon, and say they are players in the future because they have the data. They know how to use the data. They've been using the data for the last 40 years, and with the help of NVIDIA, they know how to process it. So I want them in my portfolio. I want them to represent roughly, what would that be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 50% of my portfolio. Yes. And I'm starting with an investment of $6,000, and I'll explain to you why I chose that number. The next thing in my portfolio, I want to take advantage of the change that I know that has been facilitated as a result of the coronavirus. What is that? A recognition that our health care system is broken. We had a vaccine created in 6 months. For polio, it took 9 years. How did that happen? artificial intelligence and machine learning. And that's going to make a change in the next big change in our medical cure system. And that's genome sequencing. That's where they go into your body and find the diseases that God didn't give you, but your ancestors passed on to you, and then use a science called CRISPR to take those diseases out of your body and then ultimately out of your bloodline, so that cancer, Alzheimer's, heart disease, Parkinson's don't kill you anymore. They have something else, or someone else has to take care of that in the future. So I want to put 4% in each of these companies: Beam, CRISPR, Caribou, Editas, Intella, and Illumina. These are the backbones of the genome sequencing, genome editing era that is coming, that is changing. These are the people that run those companies. This is where you want to build your FIRE portfolio, because your FIRE portfolio has time on its side, maybe as much as 40 years, and we'll look at that, how that time can work for you. Then let's move on to AI pharma. These are the companies that are working with the pharmaceutical giants to help them find the drugs that take care of your short-term illnesses and the kinds of therapies that you need. That's Abcellera, that's Grinco, and that's I have Abcellera down there twice, don't I? We'll have to change that. Then there's the software companies. These are the companies that are going to take all this artificial intelligence and all this machine learning and put it in a package so that we can sort it and provide it to you to help you and your doctor and your mechanic and anybody, and even your financial advisor, make better decisions on your behalf, on your specific situation. And there I look to Palantir and Oracle. Oracle has just recently bought a company that is very important to my healthcare end of this. It's going to take your personal data, compare it to my personal data and millions of other people's personal data, so that our doctors, our first responders, our police officers can make better healthcare decisions when they confront us, when we need their help. We want them to have all of our data. Then I've allocated 11% of your portfolio to your passion. My passion is genome sequencing and genome editing, because I lost many parts of my family to cancer, and I have a passion to find a cure for cancer, and I support that through my children's hospital's donations. But I also want to recognize that this is an opportunity of the future. Now, you may be more interested in wind power or solar power, or you may be more interested in cannabis or something that you have a passion for. Maybe it's electric vehicles, and maybe it's the elements that go into the electric vehicles. But you should find that passion and then read and study it and become the smartest guy in the room, the smartest guy at the brokerage account where you buy your stocks, so that you can outperform the rest of them. Now, how do you learn about these stocks? How do you learn what Abcellera does? Well, basically, you go to Seeking Alpha and you look at each of these stocks and you read about them. You not only read their description of what they do, but you look into their financials. You have access to other people's opinions of what these stocks are. And again, you educate yourself so that you're the smartest guy in the room. You're not relying on the talking heads either here on YouTube or CNBC or any of the other financial news programs. You're learning for yourself. You're watching the news. You're seeing what's the next event that's going to change the world. How is Putin's invasion of Ukraine going to affect the world? How is that going to create the deglobalization that I spoke of? Now, You have $6,000. You're a new investor. Where do you invest that money? You invest it in a Roth IRA. Let me give you a couple reasons why. Number one, the bad reason is you don't get to deduct your $6,000 annual contribution of earned income into your Roth IRA, much as you do in your conventional IRA or your conventional 401k. No, you don't get a tax deduction. But on the other side of the equation, when you reach retirement age and you take that money out, you don't pay taxes on the $6,000 you put in yearly or the growth. This will create you a enormous amount of money if you're investing properly, if you're becoming the smartest guy in the room. And let me show you exactly what that might look like. This is a chart that's going to be a little hard to read. So I'm going to put this chart as well as the chart of the stocks I think you might consider in your FIRE portfolio. But I want you to look at this. I want you to understand the potential and what you can do by investing $6,000 a year, $500 a month into a Roth IRA. I'm showing you at different ages of entry. You'll see the first entry I show is someone at age 22, 28, 38, and 55. And then I show if you invest $6,000 a year and you get a 7% return, and that would be equivalent to the S&P 500, that if you're 22, at the age of 69, you'll have $2.129 million. If, on the other hand, you get a bit more aggressive and you invest and you achieve the return of 13%, which is from what the NASDAQ has averaged over the past history, you're going to end up not with 2.1, but $16.49 million. Again, this is if you're at 22. If, on the other hand, you invest like I do, and I self-manage my portfolio, and I average about 20% a year, then you're going to at 22, when you're 69, you're going to have $3 billion. Well, let's say that you're a bit older, and then you'll look at this green number, and you'll see that you'll have, at age 65, you'll have 1.4 at a 7% return, 4.8 million at a 13% return, and $459 million at a 20% return. Then I show you at 38, and you can go across and see the numbers: 500,000, 1.3 million, 63 million. At the age 55, you're a little bit late. You should have tuned in about 10 years ago. You'd have 95,000. 130,000 at a 13% return, and 1.2 million at a 20% return. This is the power of a Roth IRA. This is the power of compounded interest over a longer period of time. This is what you need to do. You need to build a FIRE portfolio based upon your interest and your perception of what the future is going to look like. And then you can enjoy the life you want. You can achieve financial independence. You can retire early. Maybe you really don't need $3 billion at 65. Maybe you can live on $1 billion. This is the power of investing. And as Stan said, never invest in the present. Invest in the future. And I advise you, look for the people who are going to make the world change. See the companies that they are creating, and then you invest in them. Now, if you don't want to go this alone, if you want to turn this into a team sport and put your head together with other people's heads to make good investment decisions, I suggest you join a community that you can find on the internet or in your coffee shop or at your church or at your service organization. Find a group of people that think like you think, that want to achieve goals, and then meet with them on a regular basis. I'll offer you our tribe, our community. We have a tribe at our Discord. Go to the Best of Us Investors below and find the link to the Discord, or go into the description below this video and find the link to our Discord. We have multiple levels that you can participate, but find a community and then take this on as your second endeavor and educate yourself. Read the books that you're interested in, the passion that you have for whatever, and turn it into your method of building a fortune, a FIRE portfolio, financial independence, retire early. I'm Kerry Grinkmeyer. I'm a retired financial advisor. I've worked for years in the industry. I have a CFP, a CHFC, and a CLU. If you don't know what those are, Google them while you're Googling Stan Druckenmiller's name to find out who he is. And then educate yourself and make yourself a fortune in the stock market. Talk to you again tomorrow.